on the Echoes of Africanism podcast. So I'm your host, Anna Agunbiade. We have in our midst here, we have our president, we have our vice president, we have so many great dignitaries in our midst, and we are so honored to have them with us. So today we are going to begin an exciting new series, spotlighting the brilliant minds behind the volume 5 of the Young African Leaders Journal of Development. So our first featured author is none other than Dennis Munene, that's the Vice President of Young African Leaders Forum. His closing article, Reimagining Youth Agency in Africa, the programs, the progress, and a continental vision challenges us to rethink how youth agency is structured and inspires a bold vision for Africa's future. All right. So Dennis is a certified positive leader in action champion, a youth advocate, and he is an emerging Kenyan statesman committed to transformational and ethical leadership. He serves as the Vice President of Program and Development Strategies at Young African Leaders Forum International, and he is the National President of the African Young Leaders Foundation, Kenya. He is also the former Student Council President at International Leadership University. Dennis has led impactful reforms in student governance, youth empowerment, and civic engagement. Passionate about faith, leadership, governance, and Africans' future. He is a 2027 parliamentary aspirant for North Imnenti constituency, championing people-centered and inclusive development, and also a forward thinker looking into the 2037 Kenya presidency. Wow. Dennis, it's a pleasure to have you here. Can you say hi to the audience? Yeah, thank you so much. So let's just dive straight into your reflection on youth agency and the journey ahead for African leadership. So tell us what you have on the article and what the rationale behind your article. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible enough for you to hear. Yes. So that we... Okay, good. Thank you so much. So I'm just happy to be featured in this podcast, especially now that we're looking into what Young African Leaders Forum has produced recently on Yanzode Volume 5. And I was able to feature on the closing article that was on reimagining youth agency in Africa. And that basically what we're looking into that is the programs, the progress, and also the continental vision, especially coming from the Young African Leaders Forum. And when I was coming up with this article, we were just looking at basically what has Young African Leaders Forum contributed to the reimagination of the youth advocacy or the youth agency within the continent, and also looking at my conviction as a person on really what I believe the African youth are doing through the organization Young African Leaders Forum. So basically that's what we're looking at into this. And when I was writing this, mostly it was coming from the lens of Young African Leaders Forum, and also from my lens as a Pan-African, looking into deeply what we have to work on and what we have also done in building a continent that we envision to having.
Thank you so much. It's a really great work you're doing right there, I tell you. So in your article, you describe the moment we are as a testament to Africans' youth resolve. So how do you see that resolving that the resolve shaping like the continent we are today, like Africa, a continent. So how do you see the youth's resolve shaping our continent?
Okay. Well, I said the moment was a testament of resolve in that a resolve not just as a resolution,
Okay.
it's a dualance in what we've been able to work through to achieve what we have achieved as Young Africa Leaders Journal of Development, that is the Agunbiade Volume 5, and also the dualance in what we have achieved as the Young African Leaders Forum as an organization in the all events that we okay. And the thought again. So I was saying, as a resolve is a dualance of what we've been able to come up through, and giving it as not just asking us permission, but as a young African leaders, as young Africans within the continent, being able to work through the things they've worked through within the journal and also within the organization without no longer asking for permission, but doing these things by themselves. They've been able to work through or penetrate through institutions, working through policies, working through bills that we've been able to see. We're seeing the young people resolve into getting to entrepreneurship and working systems around in technology the same. And now we've now changing that narrative, because the narrative has to be changed by resolving not to work in the same systems that we've been working all through and through. So basically by saying that this moment was a testament of resolve, I mean, it is a moment of vigilance in what we've been able to work through as young people, especially coming up with the journal, and also as young people in terms of what we've been able to achieve as an organization during that moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. You also highlighted in your articles that like the summit that YAF has been able to organize in the previous years. So like what stood out most from these gatherings in the West, East, Southern Africa?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. So I think that was in 2024 and 2025. We've been able to work around or be able to host quite a number of summits. One, we began with West Africa. One thing that stood out for me from the West Africa, which was hosted in Lagos, Nigeria, was the zeal, or what I would call the anger and the passion. Anger being persisting to feel something. The young people there, they really were in the angle of seeking skills, and that's really show something was quite in it within the West Africa, and they all showed up for that event, and what their expectation was able to be met in that forum of the West Africa. For the East Africa, that ignition of so when you're starting an engine, you ignite it. Now the young people within the East, they needed that ignition to be able to start over the engine. By the engine, I mean they needed to be able to come up with something to work on, they still were working on maybe organizations on working on maybe some rights within some communities or some really technical skills to help on various groups within the East. And that ignition is what was really needed. And again, to what stood out, I mean, the expectation was met by what we were able to do that in the East Africa Youth Summit, which happened in Nairobi, Kenya. For the southern, we were able to host it in Lusaka, Zambia, and what stood out for me is the resolve of the young people to be able to work around climate justice and to be able to work around policy formulation by themselves. And they were able to do that very well within that Zambia summit or the Southern Summit, which actually gathered almost all the SADC grouping of the Southern region. And one more, we had one international forum that happened also online. And I can say one thing that stood out for me is the intergenerational dialogue happening in between that. By that, I mean, we were able to see our elders join us in that summit, our young people join us within that summit, and we were able to interconnect and speak through one language or one within one voice that was able to come up with very good resolutions that did not just sit on that meeting, but were able to transition over to actionable actions.
Wow. Oh my God, that's amazing. It's really amazing. So you said those impacts, they were able to translate into real and lasting impacts. The summit, they translated into real impact for young people. So, all right, as the Vice President of BIAF, so what has been your most rewarding moment in advancing youth leadership so far?
Okay. Well, maybe I can highlight from the summits, and then I can also highlight from my roles as the Vice President in terms of programs and development strategies within YAD. First, I couldn't just say it's rewarding, but I could just say it has been well fulfilling. Fulfilling in terms of within the West. I can see one of our participants or one of our active members from the West in the Zoom. We were able to get those technical skills in some, such as beautification. We're able to see people transition from the summit, learning those skills in the summit, and then getting to do it from the summit, beautification, all those things. Those who do makeup, all those things, what they are. We're able to see those computer skills coming up. So where we're seeing people setting up their own entrepreneurship from the summit in the West, that we're able to do that. When we come to the East, the most fulfilling things is, like I said, they needed an ignition, of which we were able to do it. By that, I mean, from that transition, I have been able to get invitations from the young people who attended the summit, and also received various WhatsApp messages, invitation to see the community-based organizations out there functioning from the summits of the East. So we're saying the young people coming up with the CBOs, that is community-based organizations, that are working. For example, if you go to places in Kenya, like Kibera, Mathare, or even within other counties like Garissa and Machakos, just to highlight a few, we've seen CBOs of coming up for the girl child within those areas, coming up for the basic needs within those communities. For example, water when we go to Machakos, and those are coming up from the ignition of our summit. So I think that was part of the most fulfilling of it within Kenya. But I also know within Tanzania, we've seen the young people who attended coming up, speaking coming up with policies on formulating policies on land rights, not only on women, but also of recent, I think sometime last year, with the issues of the Maasai of Tanzania having issues with the land rights. And we're seeing part of our participants coming up with policies that could help such scenarios. So I think that's quite fulfilling. The Ugandans are coming up with the groups for mentorship for the high school from the mentorship we're doing within the organization in my roles and also within the summit. And when we go to the South, I think I'm happy with the South in terms of the change of policy formulating. They've become policymakers. When you go to the climate, they're doing it. When you go to, let's say, the beautifications of towns, the urbanization, all that. And part of it, I can just highlight Zambia is also been fulfilling to me in that we're seeing young people still in universities and those out of universities coming up with or participating with the likes of the young parliamentarians, doing all those bills around there. And I say when sometimes I'm just sitting somewhere and then I look at my WhatsApp and see a message coming up from a young person who has participated in part of our events, in part of our summit. I was just saying, Munene, Dennis, we've been able to work around this. How could we do it better and better? And that's just keep on pushing us, not as a reward, but as a fulfilling of young people are the architects of our continent. They are not just future leaders, but they are doing it as at the moment. So if I, for example, we look at part of our forefathers, the likes of Roma, Sankara, and maybe Julius Nyerere, they were quote unquote saying the young people are the architects of the continent that we want to see, and we able to do that as the organization within what we've been able to work around.
Oh, wow. Like, I really love that. When young people are out there doing things that are extraordinary, like there is this joy that fills the air that, okay, these are young breed, these are young blood. Yeah, that word. Yeah. Like it's a great thing that YAF is really doing. And I am proud to be a member of YAF. Yeah, I am.
We also proud to have you around.
Thank you. All right. Also in your article, you mentioned you called for partnership with academia, corporate, government, and philanthropy. So what kind of collaboration do you believe are most urgent right now that the youth will benefit from?
Oh, good. Well, looking at it, with various things that we are working out as a Young African Leaders Forum. Part of it, we are one of the most key or the main thing that we're working out around right now is called the African Leadership and Governance Academy. It's a leadership and governance academy that we're working around it, having it become one of the most ideal academies that will be coordinated by Africans within the continent and be able to serve the purpose of all being part of the contributors to the Agenda 2063. And we want to be able to have our first class in 2027. But we've been able to come up and design the curriculum. We're doing all that, and part of what this academy entails is we will be shaping people, or the young people, or all people of African descent on areas of policy shaping. Will be working around having the right radar politicians, not just politicians, the right radar politicians from this academy will be able to work to have entrepreneurs working on the right things. Maybe if you are able to check our Journey journal, you'll be able to see we have quite a number of articles, like 3 of them working, talking about or revolving around the area of entrepreneurship and technology. So we want to be able to have these young people, not just working around that without being able to implement it. So that academy will be helping on that. Then we'll be looking around areas of technology, entrepreneurship, environment as well. Agriculture is part of it. And if you have gotten a chance of also looking around the result volume 5, or if you have not, please do. We've like 2 articles working around the area of agriculture, and agriculture incorporating it with technology on better ways that we will be able to work around and have food security. Remember, food security is one of the key issues that are affecting Africa. But again, we have the biggest landmass in the world. So we need to recheck. We need to recheck on that, and that's what the academy will be helping on that. So in the areas of partnership, we'll be looking at already it will be based in Kenya physically, but we will also be doing it virtually for the participants who cannot be able to get to Nairobi.
Oh, wow.
So we're looking at the partnership of African-based financiers that can be able to, maybe someone wants to partner on the area of technology is welcome. We're looking also on education policy. Education is also affecting our country. So we're looking at various universities within the continent that can come up all together in shaping this. That is professors who think futuristic on the continent. We're also looking at partners in terms of technical skills who can be able to have all this. And like I said, we're also looking on those people who can be able to work capital, looking into the continent, not just taking advantage of it. So, and also friends of Africa are also welcome, who will look at it or who can be able to work around with us, not in deception, but in partnership. So that's that part of what we're looking at as for the academy. The other thing we would be looking at the partnership or collaborations is on our journal. That is the Agunbiade. We are asking more young people within the continent to contribute for this journal. That is to contribute good policies. That's what we take in for the journal. But also we're coming up with an academic one where we can have those educationists now going into it deeply. So that's what will be. You're still welcome on that. You can send a mail to us and we'll be able to work around that. The other area that we're working at, we need more people to participate on is our events. We've actually one of the biggest events coming up later in the year. So people better be ready. It will be a very big one. We want everyone to be able to come all together. It will not be a east or west. It will not be a north or south or central. It will be one for Africa. And we want everyone to be able to come on board on that. And for those who still have so many areas of partnership, you can send us a mail and we can always have a talk on the area that you can always contribute for the greater and good of our continent. So I think that's part of what we want to be able to respond. Mwalimu Julius Kambalake usually, and one quote that part of my mentors, PLO, usually take very deeply is that the young people are the architects of the continent and they have to respond. But now in response, what we're doing to the call is being able to work around the issues that they were able to do then, or the foundations that they were able to lay, and taking the scenario of the Bible, they were the Moses of their day. Now we are the Joshuas of our day. So they were able to pass the baton. So it is for us to be able to take our continent to Canaan. And by Canaan, I mean, what should we be able to do? The Moses, that is the the likes of Julius, Ozaja, for all those people who went by before us are our Moses of their day. But now we are the Joshuas. So we have to take the responsibility, and we have to take the responsibility with the seriousness that it requires. And by the seriousness that is required is for us to be able to keep on going, keep on pushing, and working around. Prof. PLO usually says, if you get a chance to be able to be in the Agenda 2063, that is the year 2063 of the Africa we want, then you won't be able to need any heaven any longer, because that 2063 would be the heaven that the Africa want. So can we be able to push to be able to work around, become that step? We are doing here at IAL, another organization is doing there, another group is working around there. Maybe my brother in Tanzania, Florida, is working around something. So building all those steps, all those breaks, all together, and I believe we're able to work around that. So those are the areas that we can be able to partner. They are limitless, they are endless opportunities that we can be able to work around with everyone who is able to work around the young people. And we'll be more than happy to work or to be able to collaborate all together for the good of Africa. Thank you.
Okay, so we've all heard that. So we need all hands on deck. We want everybody to be a part of this. We want every youth to take their stand, everyone, to collaborate. We are calling everyone to come a partnership with us on this great mission. Yeah, because Africa, we are great, and we are still going to be more greater than this.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Echoes of Africanism podcast, it's not just a conversation. It's like a repository of youth reflection. So how do you see digital platform transforming youth leadership? Digital platform that we have now. So how do you see it transforming the youth leadership?
Okay, thank you for that one. I think when we laid the foundation of having actually this podcast sometime in 2024, thereabout, we we just looking at what now that the world is evolving around technology, information about social media. What can we be able to work around, and how can we be able to work around and have so many young people participate? And part of it, we don't allow having a podcast that will be virtual and still evolving, still evolving. There's so much to come for this podcast. So I think it has just reflecting from this one, it has helped us reach far and beyond having young people, because we've had young people from the speaking about education reforms. We have had young people speaking about agriculture. We've been having young people speak about research. We've had young people speak about uh, technology and also cybersecurity, and also the area of social media basically. And I think that by its own aspect has helped us reach more young people within the continent in specific areas. But seriously, especially by the government of the day, they will find themselves in a pit. By that one, I mean if if we're able to look at what happened in Kenya in 2024, the hashtags of reject finance bill, and which later took over to so many other countries, the likes of Nigeria, um, Tanzania, and Pakistan, all those. The young people are able to mobilize within the social media using just phones, iPads, whatever, and really organize so well and disrupt the government of the day to an extent that here in Kenya, the whole cabinet was fired during that time. And to an extent in Pakistan, they removed the government of the day and another government took over. So, I mean, we've to take it and we have to use it very well for that matter. And I mean, I could do the clarion call to the young people to be able to use this social media so well in that we can be able to build our countries instead of maybe destroying them. But I understand that destroying is because of the bad leadership that we have. But I know after that, we can be able to rebuild it so well and that it will be able to cater for the needs of the people of the day and the people of the future. So I think social media, when used good, is a very good tool that can build great nations and that can build very great communities within the social media. You see, that right now we connecting. We are not in the same vicinity, but we're able to connect in all those aspects. And I mean, when we all come together and collaborate through the aspect of technology, the aspect of social media, then we can be able to work around so many things and build our countries and continent.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Like you said a lot. Yeah, you said a lot. So I don't know, do we have any contribution or question from our audience? If you have a question, you can signify or you can just simply drop it in the chat box. Okay, yeah, we have someone. So Lovett, please go ahead. You can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank you
evening.
so much for your insight. It's been very enlightening. I just want to ask, Dennis, in your view, What's one, because you talk about participation, right? So I want to ask, what in your view is like one practical action that a young person can take like this year to exercise agency in their own community, regardless of the resources that they have? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that question. I think it takes me back to the statement on endurance, and that again means using the resources available to be able to accomplish a task. So for the many young people looking around, what can we be able to do within this year around our community? You know, it's a question so many young people can be able to ask themselves. But what I would ask you to do again is getting back to your community and looking around the gaps or the problems really affecting your community. And you know, MLK, Martin Luther King, usually said that if you cannot do great things, then do small things in a great way. So what you need to do is just look at these problems. For example, I can say, when I go back to just looking at your only village, just your village. Don't go to your town or the big city or the country. Just look at your village. What are the problems within that society? Maybe you can say with children dropping out, maybe there's no mentorship that is happening to maybe high school girls or those junior students, or maybe there's also an issue of water, or maybe there's an issue of domestic violence within families, or just an issue that is really affecting something somewhere. So just looking at the gaps first, or at the problems first, and now looking at this. What are my resources? Do I have available resources? Yes or no? One of the key resources that you have is the device that you're using to join in here. You can just be able to use it, like I said, using the social media adequately or positively. Maybe organize forum within your community, or maybe gather your agent or those people you're thinking alike in resolving something within the community. And like I said, part of the East Africa community that attended our East Africa Youth Summit, that's what they were able to be changed and come up with solutions within their community that they can be able to work around themselves within their means. And you don't have to begin so big, you just begin small. Just begin small by that, by the fact that you have that question, then you have something to do, or you have something to offer this year for your community, or maybe for an organization, or for something like that. Yeah. Yes, Robert, have I answered your question well? Okay,
Very well. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Lovett. Thank you, Dennis, for your insightful answer. So basically, you just said start small. You don't have to have all the money in the universe to start something, right? You don't have to be the most influential person in your community to drive a change. You just have to start like little bit by bit. Just look at the problem, the community, and just look at the one you could change. Okay. I think if everybody is actually taking that very seriously, then our community, our environment, even Africa, we are going to be expressing a lot of changes. Okay. I also have a question. I don't know if do we have any question again from the audience? I still have one question to ask them, but let me give room to other people to ask. So I don't be the only one asking. So do we have any other person that would just like to ask a question or even contribute to what we've been saying so far? Okay. I guess we do not have any other questions from the audience. All right. So Dennis, if you were to leave let me say a word for us as youth, like young Africans, like with just one question from your article, what would that be? If you had to leave us like a word from your article, what would that be?
Okay. I think from the article, I would say it was a summary. I don't know if I saw my network or something. Is it clear? Am I?
Yes,
Am I?
yes.
Okay,
You
good.
are audible.
What I could say is that was not a summary of the whole journal, of the whole articles, of the whole forums, but they were in the forehand of Professor Lumumba and Professor Tim Kibwe, the VC of International Leadership University. So I wouldn't say it was a summary, but it was more of a sermon. It was more of a sermon in that the young people, I am summoning you. I am tasking you again and summoning you again to wake up if you are sleeping. By sleeping, I mean you're not doing something constructive at all. Remember, you can do something in small way. And the sermon is for us to, as young people or as a continent, to be able to reevaluate ourselves, reimagine ourselves again, and look ourselves again and see where have we gone wrong, and then with that we can be able to turn things around. And by turning things around is for us to keep on taking a step every day, taking a step every day. Don't look at the motivation. Be more disciplined because the motivation can fail any day. But when we are disciplined by taking a step every day, by step I mean, are we working around something that is constructive to the future of our continent? That is like the young people working around issues on agriculture. What are we doing to ensure that we have food security? What are we doing to ensure that our education is relevant to the future problems that we anticipate? What are we doing in terms of the policies that we are making in Tanzania, the policies that we are making in the Guinea, the policies that we are making in Central African Republic? What are we doing as the young people in Algeria? What are we doing as the young people in Zambia in terms of the policies, in regards to the technology, by the way? What are we doing in terms of entrepreneurship? And I am happy that we're seeing a revolution or a revolutionary thought or thinking. Maybe just writing the likes of Kinaligo Dakote, isn't him saying he will not invest in any other country if it is not Africa. And that also we need to be able to see as young people also taking chance that I myself as Dennis or I as Munene, in this my continent that I have found myself in, what can I be able to do and leave it a better place than I found it for the best aspect of our children, because our forefathers have they done the best we can say, but now it is our time to be able to do the better. So they did, they are good. It is for us to do our better, and then maybe our children will be able to do their best. So let's be able to uh, take it more of a sermon than a summary. It is like I am summoning each one of us and every young person within the continent to be able to take chance
Okay, everyone, you've heard that from Dennis. It's like a summon to every one of us. So, you know, we need to really work hard. Yeah, as a young leader, as a youth, laziness is not an option at all. You need to be doing something. You need to be productive in anything you find yourself doing, whatever space, in even any condition. Because some people are very funny. They'll be like, "Oh, I mean this I can't do." No, 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 you can. No matter the place, no matter the condition you find yourself as a youth, you should be able to do something reasonable. Dennis, thank you so much for sharing such powerful insights on youth agency and Africa's development journey. Your reflections remind us that young Africans are not just participants. We are drivers of change across governance, education, health, and empowerment. Like advocacy in every area, name it, we are. Okay, someone is saying he has a question. Let me quickly check it out because I was about rounding up the session. So let me read out this question. I'm afraid. Why? I have a question here, but I'm afraid I'm not in a position to speak. Is African development crisis primarily a leadership failure or a systemic institutional design failure? Okay. Dennis, please, could you kindly?
Let me hear the question again, please.
Okay. I think YRB Wiz is asking that is Africa's development crisis, the crisis that we have in Africa, is it primarily a leadership failure or a systemic institutional design failure? Like, is it a leadership failure or an institutional design failure? So,
okay. Well, we can be able to look at it within the two sides of the coin. But first, it is due to the leadership failure. And well, I wouldn't care whatever the government of the day would take, but I just taken note of all the African president or the all African heads of state that we have. And just leaving out the IS, that is the Alliance of Sahel, and also the new, the latest one in Madagascar. I would say the current, most of the administrations are all the same. Are all the same in terms of the leadership. The leaders have already failed. And when we look at it as a systemic failure, systems can be defeated. And I mean it. Systems can be defeated when the young people decide to. And how do we decide to? If we as the young people, maybe let's say we've seen of the latest elections in Tanzania and Uganda, how things went. But now the leadership of the day has really failed the young people. If, for example, look at what happened within Uganda when President Museveni came into power those years. He was a very young, energetic young man wanting to be able to change the country, all those things. But again, he found himself really dipped into the same system that he built. Again, whatever is happening also in Rwanda and Tanzania is all the same. But as a Young African Leaders Forum, I would say part of the reason that we are coming up with the African Leadership and Governance Academy is to be able to resolve that issue on leadership failure and looking at it also on the systemic architecture of it. So let's be able to, I would say the young leaders or the young Africans listening, to not look to these as barriers, but look at them as opportunities or opportunities in what can we be able to resolve around. With a leadership problem, then what can we be able to work around? I know the questions are there on really what happened. Why did we find ourselves here? So part of it, of the contribution is that the leadership failure, the systemic issue or architecture, I could say it is not solely Iziniant in Africa. It is also Iziniant somewhere else. And then it has also been incorporated within the continent. But basically for Africa, it is the leadership failure.
Leadership failure. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's basically saying the leadership failure is the main cause of
Yes, and
crisis
we
in
have to
Africa.
participate. And we have to participate. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. So to our listeners, this is only the beginning of our journal series, the Young African Leaders Journal Development Series, Volume 5, Spotlight Series. So stay tuned as we continue to feature more brilliant voices. I think next week, coming up is Mr. Bravin Onditi and Mr. Emmanuel. They'll be sharing their the rationale behind their article, Decoding the Future, the African Parliament and AI Resolution. So I really want to see everyone there again. So let's come again and discuss and share insights, share our thoughts on Africa. I am Anna Agunbiade, and it's really been a privilege to join into this, or to host. I actually hosted to host today's conversation on Echoes of Africanism podcast. So until next time, let's keep amplifying these voices and imagine new possibilities. Let's see it. Let's imagine it. Let's see how Africa can look. So good night and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, guys. Have a nice evening.
Bye.